In this video, I'm going to show some examples of word problems that involve adding and subtracting integers. On each of these problems, I strongly recommend that you draw pictures, whether it be a number line or a thermometer or counters or some other visual representation. It will just help you make sure that your answer is reasonable for the problem. Question number 1 says it was 13 degrees Fahrenheit when Calvin went outside to check the temperature on Saturday evening. When he went outside to check the temperature on Sunday morning, the temperature had fallen 30 degrees Fahrenheit. What was the temperature when Calvin went outside on Sunday morning? I'm going to draw a little thermometer out to the side here, and I'm going to label this with 0 degrees, with 13 degrees, and we know that the temperature had fallen 30 degrees between when it was between Saturday evening and Sunday morning. Well, Saturday evening was 13 degrees, and the temperature went down 30 degrees overnight. So we need to figure out what is our new temperature. Well, if we go down 13 degrees, this is subtracting 13 degrees, we're now at 0. So the question is, how much more do we need to go? Well, that's 13. To get to 30, the difference between 13 and 30 is 17 more degrees. So we need to go down another 17 degrees. So this would be another 17 degrees down, and we'd end up at negative 17 degrees on Sunday morning. So our answer is negative 17 degrees when Calvin went outside on Sunday morning. Question 2 says the Tigers football team was losing when they got control of the ball at midfield in the last minute of the game. They lost 15 yards on the first play they ran. Then they gained 10 yards on the second play, and on the third play, they gained 6 yards. On the fourth play, they gained 8 yards. What was the position of the ball relative to its starting point after these 4 plays? Now, there's a lot of information in this problem, so to help me keep track of it, I'm going to draw a number line. And in a normal football field, we'd have an end zone somewhere over here and another end zone over here. And then somewhere in the middle, we'd have the 50-yard line. And we'd have other yard markers on either end of the field. But in this problem, we don't really care about what those yard markers are. All we care about is our position relative to where we started. So we're going to say we started with the ball at the 0 point on our number line. We hadn't gained anything, we hadn't lost anything, we're just at 0. Then once we start running plays, we're either going to gain yards or lose yards. Our number line will keep track of gained yards as positive numbers and lost yards as negative numbers. So on the first play, it says we lost 15 yards. So we're starting at 0, and we're going to go back 15 yards. Negative 15 yards. And we end up at negative 15 compared to where we began. Now, I have no idea what yard line that is on the field because I don't know what yard line I started on, but I know compared to where I began, I'm at negative 15. And then on the second play, we gained 10 yards. So we're going back towards the positive direction, and this time we went up 10. So if we were at negative 15 yards and we gained 10 yards, we're now back to only negative 5 yards from where we began. On the third play, we also gained yards. So it says we gained 6 yards. So we're again going forward from where we just were, and we're going forward 6 yards in the positive direction. If we go 6 yards in the positive direction from negative 5, we end up at positive 1. And on the fourth play, we gained yards again. We gained 8 yards. So we're going to again go in the positive direction. This is going to be plus 8. And of course, 1 plus 8 gives us 9. So the question is, what was the position of the ball relative to its starting point? If the starting point was 0, our new position of the ball is now positive 9 compared to that starting point, which would be B. Question 3 says the manager of a football team is keeping track of the yards gained or lost on each play of a football game. On the first play, the team gained 12 yards. The second play, they lost 25. And the third play, they lost 11. What was the position of the ball relative to the starting point after the first 3 plays of the game? This is going to be very similar to our previous question. I'm going to draw a number line representing my field, and somewhere in the middle I'm going to place 0 because that is my starting position. I don't know what yard line that is, but I haven't gained anything or lost anything. That's why it's a 0. And now I'm going to plot all of my gains and losses. On the first play, we gained 12 yards. So I'm going to go in the positive direction, 12 yards plus 12. So I'm ending up gaining 12 yards at a positive 12. On the second play, the team lost 25 yards. So it's going to go back. And matter of fact, we're going to go back past 0 because I only have to lose 12 yards to get to 0. And in this case, I lost 25 yards. So I went back 12, and then I needed to go back another 13. Now I'm at negative 13 because 12 plus 13 gives me the total number of yards lost, 25 yards. On the third play, we lost even more, another 11 yards. So going back again, another 11 yards. It's an 11 there. So negative 13 and then another 11 lost ends up at negative 24. So the position of the ball relative to the starting point would be negative 24 yards.